have problems. The United Nations is saying it's better to know exactly what they're going into, on what terms, clear terms, stronger regime, and that is a case before they go back. This position is backed by the United States.
All right. Well, we're also hearing tonight that the Bush administration has post-war plans for Iraq, possibly installing an American-led military government in Iraq initially. How's that playing at the United Nations?
It has not been discussed amongst the 5 permanent members who are working on the draft resolution. They take into account, many of them, that the Iraqis, whereas they do not welcome the continuity of the regime of Saddam Hussein, they would have a very big difficulty welcoming an occupation, a military occupation by the United States or others. This will be playing in the negotiations as they continue over the weekend next week, but I believe that in the general mood, if you will, in the Security Council is that the United States has decided it will launch war, and the question is, why would the United Nations through the Security Council give legitimization to such a war? And the occupation in that sense is part of the equation, sharing the burden of post military operations, and if the burden is occupation, people think twice about it again.
Raghida, talk to me about the UN resolution. It appeared to be pretty much the same place it's been for some time. Security Council members, Russia, France, China, they're still resisting. How's this letter from Iraq and talk of a post-war plan going to affect those negotiations?
The letter by the Iraqi side is probably not to their advantage, because it is easily looked at as a letter avoiding the crux of the matter put to them by UNMOVIC and the other body for disarmament. However, the others will point out to that occupation plan as to take a look. There is another issue out there that we are not addressing. The trigger is still the most difficult problem. That is what would bring about non-compliance and what then would bring about military operation. Therefore, the Russians and the French are very strong on this automaticity, on opposing the automaticity that the United States wants in making the trigger bring about military operations. And for the moment, the French are leading the opposition. The Russians are taking a strong position, but they're not out there. They are clear that they do not want to give the United States that authority. Also, other members, China also is opposed to automaticity in the trigger, and therefore I think it's going to be pretty long, maybe another week or so, before they come to any common grounds.
Raghida Dergham, as always, thanks for joining us tonight.
I thank you, John.